Hi guys, welcome to the first half of lesson 11.1, multiplying and dividing rational expressions. Our objective for the day is going to be to multiply rational expressions, and we will deal with simplifying complex fractions next time. So problem number one is just going to be multiplying rational expressions. And we want to know what is the product, and we want to state any excluded values. So when we're multiplying fractions, we remember when we're just dealing with plain old fractions, we multiply the numerators and we multiply the denominators and simplify if we can. So Ms. Zirzo has shown 3 times 5 is 15, and y times y cubed is y to the 4th. So we also want to state our excluded values. The denominator cannot be 0. So that means y cannot equal 0, because that would make the denominator 0. Next up, letter B, we've got 3 times negative 2, which is negative 6. And we've got x times x squared, which is x cubed. And again, a 0 would make the denominator 0 and our function undefined, so we cannot have that. Letter C, we've got x times the quantity x plus 1. And we've got the quantities x minus 2 times the quantity x minus 3. Okay, and what are our excluded values? We've got x is equal to 2. And x does not equal 3.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now before we finish, we need to make sure we distribute. We're going to have x squared plus x over x squared minus 5x plus 6. Make sure you FOIL. All right, letter D, we've got x times the quantity x minus 2 all over the quantity x plus 3 times the quantity x plus 5. Now we need to make sure we distribute. And we get x squared minus 2x over x squared plus 8x plus 15. Our excluded values are negative 3 and negative 5. All right, problem 2. We're going to have to use factoring to help us simplify our products. So we're going to take that whole top chunk and we're going to write it, and we're going to factor right away. So we've got 3x squared, and we're looking for products of 2 that add up to 3. So that's going to be x plus 2 and x plus 1. All divided by the quantity x plus 2. And we have that x. So now we cancel out what we can. So x plus 2 is going to cancel out, and we can remove one of the x's from the numerator. And we're going to be left with 3x times the quantity x plus 1. And x cannot equal, well, in our denominator we can't have a 0, because that would make the second term undefined, and we can't have a negative 2 because it would make the first term undefined. So those are 2 excluded values.
Do we want this distributed?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Letter B. We've got x plus 1 times the quantity x minus 2. We can pull out a common factor of a 4 from 4x minus 8, and we're left with x minus 2. And we're looking for factors of 3 that add up to 4. Well, that's just going to be 1 and 3, so x plus 3 and x plus 1. So now we look to see what can cancel. X minus 2 cancels. X plus 1 is going to cancel. And we're going to be left with 1 on top over 4 times the quantity x plus 3. Okay. Now we're looking for things that are going to make our Denominator's 0, so we can have a 2, a -3, and a -1. So those three values will make our denominator negative. Okay. Letter C. Start off, write the top two. We don't have to simplify those at all, so we've got the quantity x minus 6 times the quantity x minus 4. We can rewrite x plus 2 because there's no way to simplify that. Now we're looking for factors of -32 that add up to 4. So that would be a +8 and a -4. X plus 8, x minus 4. So now let's look to see what can cancel out. X minus 4 cancels, and it looks like that's it. So we have x minus 6 over the quantity x plus 8 times the quantity x plus 2. And our excluded values are anything that makes the denominator 0. So we have -8, we have a 4, and we have -2. Okay. Letter D. M squared minus m minus 20. We can factor that. So we're going to have an m minus 5 and an m plus 4. And m squared minus 4m. That looks like one of those, well, we can take out an m from it. And we've got m minus 4 now. And in our second term, we've got m squared minus 25. That's a difference of 2 squares, so it's m plus 5 and m minus 5. So now let's look to see what can we cancel out. We can cancel out an m minus 5. We can cancel out one of the m's in the numerator with the m in the denominator. And it looks like that's all we can. So we're left with 2m times the quantity m plus 4 all over the quantity m minus 4 times the quantity m plus 5. And our excluded values, x cannot equal 4, -5, or 5. Or, what did we cross out at the very beginning? We have an m, so x cannot equal 0 as well. All right, our last section for this lesson is problem 3, multiplying a rational expression by a polynomial. And we want to know what is the product and state any excluded values. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is just recognize that 6x squared minus 13x plus 6 could be written as a fraction, and it's all over 1. So all we're doing is the same process from before. Now instead of having 2 fractions, we have 1 fraction and we have 1 polynomial. So off the bat, Mrs. Zirzo has factored our 2x minus 14 and our 4x minus 6, which reduce to 2 times the quantity x minus 7 and 2 times the quantity 2x minus 3. And now we need to factor that polynomial. So you're going to have to use box method on this one. We're looking for factors of 36 that add up to -13. So we've got a 9 and a 4. Those will add up to +13, so they have to be a -9 and a -4. Okay, now we're going to look for our common factors. We can take out a -3 from our bottom row. We can take out a 2x from our top row. We can take out a 3x from our top left column and a -2 from our right column. So our two terms are 3x minus 2 and 2x minus 3. So now let's look and see what we can cancel out. Our 2's cancel. Our 2x minus 3's cancel. And we are left with x minus 7 times the quantity 3x minus 2. And the only excluded value we have for this one would be a +3/2. So we add 3 to both sides, divide by 2, positive 3/2. Okay, letter B. We need to factor multiple pieces on here. So x squared plus 2x plus 1 can be factored into x plus 1 times x plus 1. X squared minus 2, that's the difference of perfect squares, so it's x plus 1 and x minus 1. And x squared plus 2x minus 3, that's going to be factored into an x plus 3 and an x minus 1. So now let's look to see what we can cancel out. Well, one of the x plus 1s cancel, the x minus 1 cancels, and we're left with x plus 1 times the quantity x plus 3, and that is it. It's all over 1. We don't need to write the divided by 1. X cannot equal a positive 1 or a negative 1. Okay. Letter C. In our first term, we can write the 3x plus 4 over. We can factor out a 3, and we're left with x minus 3. And now factoring x squared plus 5x minus 24, products of negative 24 that add up to 3, or to 5, we have an x plus 8 and an x minus 3. So let's look to see what cancels out. X minus 3 cancels. And it looks like that's it. So we have a 3x plus 4. An x plus 8, all divided by 3. And our excluded value for this one would be x is equal to 3. So x cannot be 3. All right, letter D. We've got 3x squared plus 7x plus 4. We're going to do our box method yet again. We're looking for factors of 12 that add up to 7. So that's going to be 3 and 4. So we can bring out a 1. We can bring out an x. We've got a 3x and a 4. So we have x plus 1 times the quantity 3x plus 4. And from x squared minus 4x, we can take out an x. And we're left with x minus 4. In our denominator, we can take out an x from that. And we've got 9x squared minus 16, which is a difference of perfect squares. So we can rewrite that as 3x plus 4 and 3x minus 4. So now let's look to see what cancels out. Our x's cancel. We've got a 3x plus 4 in the numerator and in the denominator, and that's it.
Oops. Sorry, got carried away.
All right, so we've got x plus 1 times the quantity x minus 4. And that is divided by 3x minus 4. And our excluded values for this one are going to be a positive 4/3, a negative 4/3, and 0. All right, so if you haven't already done so, you might want to brush up on your factoring rules, and we will see you all in class tomorrow.